Hello everyone, welcome to Bajirao IAS Academy, the Hindu news analysis. Today is 23rd August 2024 and today we have some important articles for the discussion, and without any further delay, let's get into the discussion and we will discuss all these important articles in a very detailed manner. And yesterday I have given to you one prelims practice question. So that question was, the Ministry of Home Affairs can designate individuals as terrorists under which of the following legislations? So you have given three important legislations. They are Prevention of Terrorism Act 2002, National Security Act of 1980, and the Unlawful Activities Prevention Amendment Act of 2019. So the correct answer for this question is option C, that is Unlawful Activities Prevention Amendment Act 2019. Under this legislation, the Ministry of Home Affairs can actually designate individuals as terrorists. And in fact, recently the Ministry of Home Affairs on March 7th this year has designated a person named Mohammad Qasim Gujar, right? So his name is Mohammad Qasim Gujar, aged 32, and in fact he is also a resident of Riyazi, Jammu and Kashmir, as an individual terrorist under the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act. In fact, when we talk about Riyazi in Jammu and Kashmir, and it is the place where the terrorist attack took place on a pilgrim bus, and in fact it is said that the Ministry of Home Affairs has also said that Gujar is a member of a terrorist organization which is banned terrorist organization, that is Lashkar-e-Toiba terrorist organizations. However, the Ministry of Home Affairs has also released another notification, and as per this notification, any individual who is having an intention to wage a war against country, and in fact the individual is also involved in terrorist activities, and those terrorist activities including coordinating, supplying, and even identifying locations for the drone dropping of arms, ammunition, and improvised explosive devices, and in fact cash also. However, delivering and managing consignments from across the border. So all these acts actually considered as part of a terrorist activities under the Prevention of Unlawful Activities Prevention Act. This is also known as UAPA Act, right? So today I have one important prelims practice question. Recently HMA Commission is seen in news. On which of the following issues HMA Commission was appointed, right? So criminalization of politics, B, protection of Aravalis, C, sexual protection and harassment of women in Malayalam film industry, and D, rehabilitation of manual scavengers. So this particular HMA Commission is in news in recent past, last 2-3 days. So you try to answer this question in the comment section, and the correct answer I'll be providing you in tomorrow's class. And even if you go through carefully this session that we are going to discuss, you could also easily answer this question, right? So first article that we are going to discuss, we all knew that Prime Minister Narendra Modi recently had a visit to Poland, and in fact in 45 years this is the first Indian Prime Minister who is going to visit Poland. And in fact, when we talk about Ukraine, Prime Minister Narendra Modi is the first Prime Minister who is going to visit Ukraine. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to Ukraine gained significance, a lot of importance, because Russia-Ukraine war. So with Russia we have been enjoying a very close and friendly relations, and on the other hand Russia and Ukraine are a war with each other, right? So there is a cause of concern. And on the other hand, India has been maintaining a strong and friendly relations with Russia. So therefore, in this context, the first a first visit by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, and it will actually focus on areas such as defense cooperation and a number of areas: defense cooperation, military cooperation, security cooperation between India and Ukraine. And in fact, with India actually operating a large inventory of the military equipment, both Russian and Ukrainian origin. Now, one thing that you need to understand it very, very clearly, that majority of our imports are from Russian origin, right? So the existing defense and military equipment that the Indian armed forces have been using are imported from these two countries. So therefore, in this context, the relation between these two countries has actually assumed a lot of significance, and it is significant because Ukraine has been facing the aggression of Russia. And in fact, Ukraine has also been facing the hostilities of Russia in recent times. The casualties on both sides is also very high. And in fact, Ukraine has been actively getting support from the West But on the other hand, India so far not yet condemned the Russia's military action on Ukraine. But on the other hand, West has been imposing a lot of pressure on India to sever its ties with Russia and at the same time support Ukraine, and the Western countries stand over this Russia-Ukraine war. But on the other hand, we all knew that India follows a policy called strategic autonomy, right? So we are guided by the policy of strategic autonomy. So our foreign policy and our engagement with any country would be based on our own national interest, our own merits. So that is the policy that our Indian foreign policy has actually been guiding. And in fact, we are also try to balance between the different poles, and that is also another area, right? So in fact, it is actually in sync with Indian defense sector reforms and Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan, because we have Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan under our Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan. So we wanted to achieve self-reliance from the imports, right? So which actually includes making India self-reliant in defense manufacturing. We need to make India self-reliant in defense manufacturing. However, Ukraine as of now signed 4 different agreements, and these agreements worth of $70 million. So these agreements include sale of new weapons. So new weapons can be sold to India, as well as maintenance and upgrade of existing weapons that we have been using and which we have procured from Ukraine. And in fact, when we talk about these weapons, R-27, right? So R-27 is a air-to-air missile that has been procured from the Ukraine, and this R-27 is in service with the Indian armed forces as of now. And apart from that, another very important area of engagement is defense cooperation, security cooperation, and military cooperation. And there's an aircraft called AN-178. So this is a medium-sized transport aircraft from Ukraine. And in recent times, Ukraine has actually showed a lot of intent and interest to sell this AN-178 medium transport aircraft. And in fact, Ukraine has also been currently upgrading AN-32, and AN-32 is a traditional Indian aircraft, but which has been procured from the Ukraine. However, Ukraine as of now currently upgrading AN-32 fleet, AN-32 aircraft fleet. And in fact, it is a transport aircraft fleet of Indian Air Force under a deal that was finalized in the year 2019. And other areas of defense and military cooperation between India and Ukraine include, recently a Ukrainian team also came to India and they held discussions with the Defense Research and Development Organization, and both these teams have also looked up the possible areas of collaboration in the research and development. So apart from that, we need to briefly talk about the area of defense also. When we talk about defense as an area, Ukraine has been a source of military technology, right? So there's no doubt that Ukraine has a lot of potential in terms of military technology. Ukraine can actually develop a lot of technologies which will be helpful for India in the future, because we have also been facing a lot of threats within the neighborhood and beyond the neighborhood. And in the Indo-Pacific region, Chinese influence has been increasing a lot every every passing day. So therefore, in this context, the Ukraine is a source of military technology and equipment for India since independence. So we need to further strengthen our bilateral relations with Ukraine. We need to have a strong defense and security cooperation. And apart from that, Ukraine manufactures R-27 air-to-air missiles. Okay, so they can be fired from the air and they can also hit the targets at the air. So they are known as R-27 air-to-air missiles, and in fact which are in use by the Indian Air Force on its Sukhoi 30 MKI fighters, right? Sukhoi 30 MKI fighters are being used, or they can actually use this R-27 air-to-air missiles. And in fact, now India is also supplying its weapons to Ukraine to enhance defense cooperation between the two countries. And apart from that, when we specifically talk about the diplomatic relations between India and Ukraine, immediately after the breakup of this Soviet Union, because earlier Ukraine was part of the Soviet Union, but when the disintegration of Soviet Union took place, majority of these countries they declared independence and they became independent, and they also very closely aligned themselves with the liberal democracies in the West. So when Soviet Union break up, the government of India immediately recognized the Republic of Ukraine as a sovereign independent country in December 1991. So in this particular year, the government of India immediately identified or they recognized Ukraine as a sovereign independent nation. And immediately after that, we all knew that the disintegration of Soviet Union took place around 1989 and 1991, that point of time. And the embassy in India in Kiev, the capital of Ukraine, was established in May 1992, and Ukraine also opened its capital in its embassy in New Delhi, its mission in New Delhi in February 1993. And apart from that, both India and Ukraine have been enjoying a warm and friendly relations, a very close and friendly relations, and cooperation in number of areas such as education, mutual legal assistance, and outer space cooperation. So in all these areas, India and Ukraine have been enjoying a very close and friendly relations. So in this context, one thing that we need to talk about is that how India could actually balance both Russia and Ukraine. So that is a very, very important aspect, and that is also very because Russia is an all-weather friend of ours, and Russia very often closely engages with India, right? So this may bring Russia, China, Pakistan together, and that could become an axis. So therefore it is an act of balancing both east and west. So in fact, our policy is guided by the strategic autonomy. So therefore, in this context, our concerns will also be conveyed to the Russian side, and accordingly, we would navigate the complex geopolitical flux that has been existing. And next important article is with respect to the glacial lake outbursts and high risk glacial lakes to prevent disasters. So how we can prevent the glacial lake outbursts which have been causing damages to the existing infrastructure, economic losses, and loss of lives. So all these things have been taking place because of a glacial lake floods or outbursts, right? So we'll talk about this. The context is that recently India has actually launched its first comprehensive survey of high-risk glacial lakes in the state of Arunachal Pradesh, Tawang and Dibang Valley districts, right? So in these districts, we all knew that these districts including Sikkim, Arunachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Himachal Pradesh, also all these states are highly vulnerable to the glacial lake outfloods, and therefore because of that reason, recently India's first comprehensive survey of high-risk glacial lakes in Arunachal Pradesh, Tawang and Dibang Valleys districts have been identified, and the move is actually part of initiatives which were undertaken by the National Disaster Management Act. Now we all knew that we have a National Disaster Management Act, so that was created immediately after the tsunami of 2004, and under the National Disaster Management Act, so we have National Disaster Management Authority, and this initiative of creation of a comprehensive survey of high risk glacial lakes in Arunachal Pradesh is actually an initiative that is undertaken by the National Disaster Management Authority. And after the glacial lake outburst floods in Sikkim's South Lonak Lake in October last year. Now in this context, we'll try to understand what is this glacial lake outflood. So try to understand the brief definition of this glacial lake outfloods. And this GLOF actually occurs when glacial lakes natural dam. So right, so this natural dam is often formed by a glacial debris or ice, so which suddenly fails in releasing massive volumes of water downstream, right? So that is where this glacial lake outburst floods usually takes place. And in fact, this glacial lake burst flood is a sudden release of debris or a sudden release of huge quantities of water, and that could eventually lead to flooding and damaging the existing infrastructure which is already developed in that particular area. And in fact, it could also result in damages to existing ecosystems and even the communities, and loss of lives as well in the downstream areas. And this glacial lake outfloods are particularly concerning in glaciated regions due to their potential for a large scale destruction. They actually create a large scale destruction. And in fact, the National Glacial Lake Outburst Floods risk mitigation program that was already launched by the central government. The center has now approved this 150 crore National Glacial Lake Outburst Flood Risk Mitigation Program on July 25th, right? So the government has also been acting on this particular program to essentially improve the resilience against the glacial lake out floods, and also mitigation and adaptation and develop resilience to such disasters would be the ultimate objective of the scheme that the government has launched. And in fact, this program also aims at a detailed technical hazard assessment. There should be a detailed technical hazard assessment, and apart from that, it would also involves in installing automated weather and water monitoring stations, so which are also called as AWWS, so that we would have accurate information about the weather and the water level monitoring, and appropriate measures could be taken before it actually turns into a large scale disasters, and even the early warning system at the lakes and the downstream areas. So however, the primary objective of this program is to attempt lake lowering measures to reduce the risk of glacial lake outfloods from such lakes. So these are some of the objectives of the scheme that was already launched, and we will try to understand certain factors which are actually responsible for this glacial lake outfloods, right? So when we talk about glaciers specifically, glaciers in the Himalayas are actually shrinking at a faster pace, right? So they are shrinking at a very fast pace, and even at the rate of 20 meter per year due to the global warming. So global warming is a phenomenon. We all knew that the greenhouse gases are being released into the environment when we use fossil fuels, right? So fossil fuel usage resulting in the emission of the greenhouse gases, and emission of greenhouse gases would result in a phenomenon called global warming, and global warming ultimately leads to the climate change. And in fact, due to the climate change increasing global temperatures, these glaciers have been melting at a much faster pace. So glaciers in the Himalayas are shrinking at a very fast pace, or at a very fast rate, so that is around 20 meter per year due to the phenomenon called global warming, and this actually increases the threat of glacial lake outfloods in these Himalayan states. And in fact, a lot of hydropower projects are also being constructed to explore the potential of hydroelectricity. For example, when we specifically talk about the hydroelectricity potential of the countries, Bhutan and Nepal are the countries with a huge hydroelectricity potential, and even Arunachal Pradesh, Sikkim, Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand. So all these states have a huge hydroelectricity potential, and hydroelectricity is one of the sustainable form of energy, and it also ensures energy security for India. So therefore, in this context, in order to tap the potential of hydroelectricity in these Himalayas, hydropower projects are being constructed on a large scale, and that is prone to the seismicity, landslides and climate change related disasters across the northern states, especially the Himalayan states. So therefore, we need to understand the sensitivity and fragility of the Himalayas, and so we should actually conduct a detailed and comprehensive environmental impact assessment. So environmental impact assessment is very, very important, so that actually has the potential to prevent such a large scale disasters taking place. And when we talk about the news today, so the National Glacial Lake Outburst Floods Risk Mitigation Program that is being launched by the central government on July 25th. So about this program that we have discussed, because with any disaster, adaptation and mitigation is very important, and adaptation and mitigation. Now, how can we actually achieve this adaptation and mitigation of this glacial lake outfloods? So this can be achieved through infrastructure resilient or resilient infrastructure building. So that is a very important phenomenon here. Resilient infrastructure building is a very important area. So there are nearly 7,500 glacial lakes in Himalayan mountain regions or ranges, because we have a number of states which are located across the Himalayan mountain ranges, right? So some of them are being monitored through the remote sensing so that we could have accurate data. We could also predict such glacial lake outburst floods, and we could also substantially reduce the loss of lives and damage to the property, damage to the existing infrastructure, and damages to the ecosystem. So the other thing is that we need to identify the vulnerable areas. So vulnerability maps can be created across the Himalayan range states so that we could actually regulate the human activities and construction activities, the commercial activities, infrastructure development in those areas. So that is very important, because so when we lay down roads and these glacial lake outburst floods damage these roads, and again we need to lay down the roads. So therefore there is a need for creation of vulnerability maps along with the comprehensive environmental impact assessment as well, because they would benefit they would also help in achieving mitigation and adaptation of these disasters. And this National Glacial Lake Outburst Floods Risk Mitigation Program aims at a detailed technical hazard assessment. There should be a proper and detailed technical hazard assessment, installing automated weather and water level monitoring stations, and even the early warning systems at the lakes and even the downstream areas also. So far around 15 expeditions have been concluded as part of mitigation of this glacial lake outburst floods, including 6 expeditions in Sikkim, 6 in Ladakh, and 1 in Himachal Pradesh, and 2 in the Jammu and Kashmir region. So this is all about the glacial lake outburst floods and the program that the government has launched. And recently HMA Commission in Kerala submitted its report to the Kerala Chief Minister, because recently the State Information Commission has asked the HMA Commission to publish this report. However, this HMA Commission was appointed earlier specifically to look into the exploitation and sexual harassment of women in the Malayalam film industry. Right. So however, as of now, before last month, even last month and this month also, last week up to last week also, till last week, so the report not yet publicized, but recently the report was made public. And in fact the High Court has also, some petitions were also filed in the High Court to take cognizance of the HEMA panel report. So we will try to understand this in a very detailed manner. The Kerala High Court has actually ordered the state to submit a full HEMA committee report, right? So including the confidential sections for review. So this is what the Kerala High Court has recently ordered the Kerala government to submit the full a document of the HEMA committee report. However, the Kerala High Court has given this order to the state government as part of a public interest litigation. So the Kerala High Court has been considering a public interest litigation, and this public interest litigation has been demanding criminal proceedings against those named in the report. So that's why the court has asked the state government to produce full HEMA panel report. So the Justice HEMA committee report released on August 2024 highlights serious issues of discrimination, exploitation of women in the Malayalam film industry. So this is the key area to focus with respect to the HEMA committee report. We will briefly understand the background of this HEMA committee, Justice HEMA committee. So in the year 2017, a prominent Malayalam actress was abducted, and after abducting this actor, she was also sexually assaulted, and that has led to the widespread public outrage and public demand to ensure the safety and security of women in the Malayalam film industry. So in response to this massive and widespread public outrage to this kidnap and sexual assault of the actor, Women in Cinema Collective, so which is also known as WCC, so Women in Cinema Collective, and it comprising of women from film industry. So majority, most of the members are women from the film industry, and they petitioned to Kerala Chief Minister calling for a comprehensive investigation, a detailed investigation into the broader gender issues which are prevalent in the Malayalam film industry. So that is the reason why this Justice Hema committee is being appointed. So after that, after the request of the Kerala in Women Collective, the Kerala government has formed Justice Hema Committee, and this Justice Hema Committee was headed by a retired Kerala High Court Judge, Justice K. Hema. Right, so she is Justice K. Hema, to investigate the sexual harassment and gender inequality in the Malayalam film industry. However, the report was not yet released until August 2024 because the report has a sensitive information, and because of that reason, Justice Hema herself requested not to make this report public. And in fact, because it has a lot of sensitive information with respect to both actors and actresses in the Malayalam film industry, the report was not made public until August 2024. And because this report has not made public, it has led to the widespread criticism of the government. And in fact, the government has also cited concerns over sensitive information and privacy when public demanding that the report should be made public. And in response to an RTI request and the Kerala State Information Commission ruling, the report was released with a certain certain sections redacted. However, what are the key findings of Justice Hema Committee report, Justice Hema Commission reports? Key findings that we will try to understand here. So, in fact, Justice Hema clearly pointed out that there is a culture of harassment that is widely prevalent in the Malayalam film industry, because this report directly said that there is a pervasive culture of sexual harassment in the Malayalam film industry, and this sexual harassment including derogatory practices such as casting couch on women and inappropriate behavior of male colleagues with the female, and all these things are very common in the Malayalam film industry that is being unearthed by the Hema Commission report. And in fact, the victims, whoever have gone through these sexual assault, sexual exploitation and casting couch, so they also have the fear of retaliation if they actually made these allegations public. So they actually fear of retribution, fear of consequences, both direct consequences and even through a cyber harassment. So because of the direct retaliation and retribution and even cyber attacks, so they usually silenced these women in the Malayalam film industry from reporting such incidents. And apart from that, in Malayalam film industry, there is also a male dominated power structure as well, right? So the industry is actually controlled by a powerful male dominated group. You can also see nepotism and favoritism is widely prevalent in Indian film industry. So however, when we talk about the Malayalam film industry, so industry is controlled by the powerful male dominated groups, and thereby making it more and more difficult for the others to challenge their actions without facing the severe consequences. And apart from that, there are certain inadequate facilities also, and these facilities are widely prevalent because women in the industry actually lack basic facilities such as proper toilet facilities, changing rooms on film sets, and even those things actually leads to the health risks, of course, whenever there is a poor sanitation facility is being provided for women in these film sets. So of course it would also impact their overall health as well. So gender inequality, there is a significant gender disparity in pay and working conditions, which is being further exacerbated by the lack of formal contracts as well, right? So overall, we could see that there's a widespread discrimination against women which is being practiced in the Malayalam film industry, and derogatory practices such as casting couch, exploitation of women, and sexual assault of women. So all these things have to be looked into, and culprits or those who have been doing such things have to be brought to the justice. And it is very important because we very often talk about the workplace equality, and there should be a creation of workplaces which are free from the sexual harassment of women. Gender inequality, gender empowerment can be achieved once we make a rapid strides, once we make a progress on this front. So next important article is, August 24th is declared as National Space Day. You just remember this because it is very very important. August 23rd is declared as India's first National Space Day because this was the day on which Chandrayaan III Vikram lander successfully landed on the southern pole of moon. So because of that reason, so it is decided that India will celebrate August 23rd every year as the National Space Day. And in fact, India has been celebrating the National Space Day on August 23rd, 2024. So to essentially mark the successful landing of Chandrayaan III mission. So we have lander Vikram and rover Pragyan in this Chandrayaan III mission, right? So Vikram successfully landed on the moon's southern polar region on 23rd August, and because of that reason it is decided that we will celebrate the National Space Day every year. And in fact, this achievement of Chandrayaan III or the Vikram lander is very important, and it is significant for India to become the first country to land this uncharted region. Now understand one thing, that no country before actually landed the rover on the southern pole of the moon, and in fact India has achieved this feat, right? So India has actually written a history by successfully landing on the southern pole of the moon, and in fact it is also the fourth overall to achieve the lunar landing. And this occasion is commemorated with theme called Touching Lives While Touching the Moon, India's Space Saga. So that is theme, and we will try to briefly understand Chandrayaan III. What is Chandrayaan III? And in fact, this Chandrayaan III is developed by Indian Space Research and Development Organization, and it was successfully landed. The Vikram landed, and from Vikram lander, so this is Vikram lander, and from Vikram lander, once it is landed on the lunar southern pole of the moon, so rover Pragyan emerged out of this lander, and it has also conducted tests on the lunar surface of the southern lunar pole. And this mission not only accomplished a soft landing, but it is also made India first nation to land on the moon's southern polar region, highlighting India's growing capabilities in the arena of space exploration. So you could also go through the details of Chandrayaan III through this particular image. So Chandrayaan III was launched through LVM 3 Mark 4 LVM 3 M4 vehicle, right? So its height and lift off mass 642 tons, and it is a succeeding mission to Chandrayaan 2, and it is in fact on August 23rd lander Vikram successfully landed on the moon's surface. So its mission life was 14 Earth days, and in fact it consists of lander module, rover, and even it also consists of the propulsion system, so that will aid in conducting a lot of research on the southern pole of the moon through Chandrayaan 3 mission, right? So in this context, so now today is Space Day, the first National Space Day, and because of that reason we will try to look into some of India's most ambitious space missions. So first one that we are going to start with is Aditya L1 mission. So Aditya L1 mission, this is a mission and which is being sent to sun, right? So from first Earth Sun Lagrange point, so this point is also known as L1 point. So it is a stable point in space, right? So that allows continuous observation of the sun. And in fact Aditya L1 has actually reached L1 so this Earth Sun Lagrange point, and has been conducting observations including study of solar storm that actually occurred on May 2024. So in order to understand the coronal mass ejections of the sun, and in order to understand the solar storms in a very detailed manner, Aditya L1 is very important, and in fact it is India's first mission to sun also, and it is a successful mission. And another very important and flagship ambitious program of India is Gaganyaan mission. So especially Gaganyaan, we wanted to send humans into space through the Gaganyaan mission, especially Indians into the space. So we wanted to demonstrate that capability, because as of now only 3 countries have sent human beings into the space, Russia, China and USA. So India is going to become the 4th country to successfully send humans into the space. So as part of the Gaganyaan human space flight program, so this mission is being tested. Okay, so TVD1 mission is being tested as part of the Gaganyaan mission program. So the crew escape system of the spacecraft, and in fact the test has demonstrated that the crew escape system's ability to safely separate from the test vehicle. So it could actually safely separate from the test vehicle, and it even protect the crew module where crew actually present, and it protects the crew module, and it would also ensure it decelerates effectively before splashing down into the Bay of Bengal. So you could actually see the test that is being conducted or expected to conduct, right? So it splashed down in the Arabian Sea of Gujarat when this TVD1 test is being conducted. So essentially to protect the crew in case of any emergency in this vehicle. And another very important and ambitious mission of ISRO that also jointly collaborates with other a space organization is INSAT 3DS. Okay, so this INSAT 3DS is a meteorological satellite, and this was launched to test the capabilities of geosynchronous satellite launch vehicle, right? So geosynchronous satellite launch vehicle, and this INSAT 3D plays a very important role, and it plays a very crucial role in validating GSLV before the critical launch of NASA NISAR mission. So this mission is also called as NISAR mission. So right, so NASA ISRO synthetic aperture radar mission, and that is scheduled to be launched on early 2025. So reusable launch vehicle TD. So this reusable launch vehicle TD is also a very important mission, right? So recently we have discussed about the Pushpak variant. So this reusable launch vehicle RLV TD is also specifically known as Pushpak variant, and that has also underwent 2 landing experiments, and these tests simulated the vehicle's landing from the space, and with one test dropping the vehicle along its intended landing path and another offset by 500 meters. And these tests are pivotal, and they are very important for developing the reusable launch vehicles. Now once we launch vehicles into the space, we cannot retrieve them back to Earth, but when we have reusable launch vehicles, so they will be helpful for us directly sending satellites into the low Earth orbit and above that, and by we can also retrieve these launch vehicles, and that would significantly help us reduce the space cost. And these tests are pivotal and very important in developing the reusable launch vehicles for future space missions, right? So that's all in this lecture, and thank you so much. So if you like our work, so please subscribe our YouTube channel and also hit the like button. Thank you.